Hello, friends, and welcome. Today it will be the last episode of the fountain pens from my school days. I have the box, here it is, and I saved the most special pen for last. So I have here the most special pen from my school days. I remember it was given to me by my grandmother, and it is a beautiful reform made in Germany. So I have to tell you that during the 1980s, the last years of communist regime in Romania, on the market there were available only Romanian pens, Russian fountain pens, and Chinese fountain pens. All the merchandise that came from Germany, from East Germany, or even better, from the West Germany, they were considered top products with a much superior quality of the Russian or Chinese products. So this was a very, very special pen for me, and it still remains a special pen for me. You can see that it has some wearing to it. It lost its clip from the cap. It doesn't close securely like it did a long, long time ago. You know that I like to research all my fountain pens, and sorry, from this lighting you can see even a superficial crack on the cap. It's barely note. I can only see it in this lighting. So yes, it's in pretty rough shape, this fountain pen. But it comes from an interesting German firm. By the way, this model is called the P125, and it's in this beautiful burgundy color. I want to share with you a little history lesson, and I promise it won't be long, just 2 minutes, because I want to tell you about the Reform firm. So, this particular manufacturer in Germany has its roots in Heidelberg. Interesting, because in Heidelberg there was also the Kaweco factory. In 1928, a former employee, Philip of the Kaweco company, Philip Maschler, and some of his co-workers, they decided to leave the Kaweco and build their own factory. And they created the Certo branding of fountain pens, and they started that business with only 10 workers. But the fountain pen business was a real success, and Master expands his factory halls in 1938. In this period, they were business partners with the Reform Works from Niederramstadt, which had daughter firm in Heidelberg. After a fusion, they changed their trademark from Certo to Reform, and they adopt the famous R with wings. The Reform Company was one of the first who used the injection molding process for fountain pen production, and therefore they're constructing their own machines. Reform delivered complete writing systems and parts to several other well-known firms like Geha, Herlitz, Rotring, A.T. Cross, Dunhill, DuPont, Cartier, Caran d'Arche, or Christian Dior. They even bought my favorite nib manufacturer from Germany, Degussa, and also the rope nib factory. And they produced excellent nibs. Unfortunately, the success story ends in late 2003 when the firm went bankrupt. So, this is my little history. Let's move on to the fountain pen. You can see it comes in this beautiful burgundy, dark burgundy, red, dark color. It is made out of plastic. This model was called P125, and I believe it was produced in the late 1980s. Let us see the cap, which ends in this band, and on the band we have imprinted Germany. We have the famous R logo with the two wings and Reform. Unfortunately, you can see that the gold plating has faded away. You also notice the cracks on the cap, and of course the missing clip at the end. This was a screwed-in cap. Unfortunately, we have another defect of this product. I don't know if you noticed, but these threads, especially the last one, are heavily used, and I suspect there is a crack on there. And I know that because when I will fill it with ink, you will see that we have some leakage from here. It's too bad because I don't know if I could ever find the way to seal this crack here. You can see this beautiful ink window. It has this interesting shape. There are multi ink windows, and of course it's not inked. That is why you can see it is a piston filler. If I turn this knob, you will see the plastic cork here. Let's see. Yes, and now you can see it. It runs quite good for its age. I haven't lubricated it or did nothing. You can see this plain plastic grip part. It's a simple grip part with a linear construction, so no concave parts. We see this nib. This is steel nib. It's gold plated, and on it we have iridium point Germany. When you see this nib and this inscription, you automatically think of nibs made maybe in China or maybe in India. And this is because all the machinery from the famous firm Reform were sold in 2003 to investors in the Asian region. On the back, we have this feed. The fins are slightly affected on it. They are scratched, but it still does a great job. I will ink it and do a writing sample with it. But till then, I wanted to show you other fountain pens, and I will start with the luxury 144 model Meisterstück from 1983. I have an older model from also from Montblanc. This is from the 60s, a Montblanc 24. I have a similar model, also a German piston filler from Geha. This is the Geha 722 from 1975. I wanted to show you the ink window on this model, which resembles in a way the Reform model. I have also the popular Lamy 2000. This is a model from the late 1960s, from the first years of production, and a luxury model, the Pelican Sovereign M800 from 1987. I will show them side by side for you to make an idea about their proportions. You can see that the Reform is quite a slender fountain pen. It was a simple fountain pen with no gold nib for the students, intended for the students. And I also will leave the measurements on the screen of the Reform P125. And after that we will do the writing sample. For the writing sample, I will use the Parker Quick Ink. I'll give it a little shake and we will fill the fountain pen. I've prepared a little tissue in case of emergencies of leakage. I hope that we will have a nice writing sample. As always, I will leave the cap and I unscrew the piston. Okay, you can see now that it reached the end. Okay, now I will insert it in the ink bottle and simply redraw the piston. You can see now, you can see now that the ink window is full. So my problems are with this part here, so where I think it will leak from that part. Now it shows no signs of leakage, so this is a good thing. Maybe we won't have problems. Always put back the cap on the bottle of ink to avoid accidents. Okay, we are ready for the writing sample with this school fountain pen. We already seen some problems, and you can see that the ink is simply dripping from the fountain pen. So I was afraid of that, but I am prepared. Let us see if we have. Okay, yes, this is the first problem of the fountain pen, but we won't give up. I will simply open the piston and drain some ink. Let's not all of it, but I hope that it won't be so much pressure on it now and it won't leak. Let's see. I just wipe it clean. You can see that on there is some ink left. Let's see how it performs. So a Reform. Yes, so this fountain pen has definitely some issues, And I can see by the very, very wet ink flow, you can see. But at least it won't, we won't have those big stains. Let's continue. So, Reform, the model P125. This is made in Germany. And it was made, I believe, in the late 1980s. Okay. You can now see one of the problems, and I want to show it to you if this focuses. Okay. Look at the leakage. You can see some ink there and over here. And I will wipe it clean. And let's see if we still have. Remember, the reservoir isn't full. I'm sorry, it started raining outside, so if you hear some strange noises, it's from the drops of rain. I will continue the writing sample. Okay. Being a steel nib, I won't expect much line variation, so let's see. No, it has no flex. You can see that this is a quite broad nib. It is a steel nib, gold plated, with the famous imprint Iridium Point, Germany. So this is the original from the 1980s. So Iridium Point, Germany. Okay, you can see the mess I've done on my hands because I hold my pen right on the zone that it is leaking. The ink is leaking. Unfortunately, I don't know if I could ever repair this fountain pen, but it has an importance for me, being a gift from my dear grandmother. It has a special place in my collection. What can I say about this fountain pen? You can see that although you might think it has a ink flow problem, because it's I like the fact that it's so juicy. If it hadn't been for this leakage, I will use it and use it. And this nib is phenomenal. It flows. You see, the ink simply flows. Great, 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 great. So I left the best for last. This is the last episode of the fountain pens from my school days. I hope you've enjoyed my small review of these obscure fountain pens. And see you again for new episodes with vintage and mother fountain pens from my collection. Thank you again for your time. And if you like my channel, please subscribe and tell your friends to also subscribe. Thank you very much. As always, I wish you to have a nice day.